Right, welcome to my second channel video, and once again we're going to look at the little Honda CL500. There she is. I'm going to do a little bit more of an in-depth look at it today than the last time. Hopefully I'll show you a few little pointers. First of all, been asked a few questions about the bike. There's a rear view. Let me just show the rear view. Somebody was asking about that. The rear tyre fills the swinging on quite nicely. I think it looks good. And the exhaust. Right, we're going to have a little look under the seat. Show you what space is available under there. That was one of the questions I was asked. If you come down, you can see where the lock is for the seat. I've already unlocked it actually, because it's a bit difficult to do this with one hand, but you just a single turn like that. And I've just managed to. No, I haven't. I'm all right. Just thought I'd just managed to shut it again. But yeah, just single turn, and then the seat simply, and get this in view a bit, comes back and off. And there we go. Just pop that down a minute, and I'll show you what's under here now. I did get somebody commenting about the access to the battery is very difficult. I know what they mean. There's a plastic cover. This here comes off. It comes off all the way around here and clips back in, and there are 4 clips holding it in place, one there, one there, and one here, and these 2 side clips actually hold the side panels on as well. And these clips are very easy to use actually, but, and I'll be honest, they're also easy to lose, hence that one. It's missing. But I'll show you what you have to do with them. You have to use the key. You can use the key or any pointed object. You touch the center and then they're loose and you can pull them out. A bit fiddly to do one-handed. I won't do it now because I don't want to lose it, but that's basically what you do. And in there, in that side panel on that side of the bike, there's actually a toolkit. So all we'd have to do is clip that one to get the panel off. And then the panels are the same both sides, the way they operate. You have to pull, this would obviously be loose if it was this side. You pull the bottom towards you. It's a rubber grommet with a peg. You put it towards you, and then the one that holds it on this corner is actually hooked like that. So you have to put it towards the rear of the bike. So this one's loose, you pull that out, and then you pull it to the rear and it comes away. So, and behind this one, there's also the same space as there is on the other side. So there's quite a bit of room behind that one if you wanted to store something. And there's also the rubber band inside there, which will strap something in. I think originally it's where the book pack comes when the bike is delivered in the crate, I would imagine. So that's the 4 little clips. Sorry, the 4 little clips, as I said, and then that tray comes out. Now it looks difficult to get the battery. Yeah, it is. I suppose it's more difficult than it would have been on some bikes or in the past, but it's seconds to take that off, and this just clips out, and it does leave a neat finish then. Now I've got here a phone case, because a lot of people say, well, there's only storage. Well, you can forget this area. This area is needed by the bottom of the seat, but a little bit further back here you can see this area, and in there is enough room for a phone if you want to store that, or your wallet. That's quite a big phone case actually. That's one for a A13 Samsung, which isn't the smallest phone in the world. I'm just going to return the key actually into the lock, into the ignition, which is at the front there on the side, as opposed to on the handlebars. Personally, not a big fan of that, but anyway. So yeah, enough room there. As you can see, I've still got my hand in. There's quite a bit of depth there, so that's quite handy. But that's really the only storage apart from behind these side panels. So there we are. Well, I'll get the seat now and pop it back on. I've got to say, it's one thing I wanted to show people is you know when you slam a car door and it's a nice satisfying clunk. Same thing with this seat, really, typical Honda quality. Just slips in like that, and then it's like that. It's lovely, feels good, feels quality, lovely feel to it. Overall with the bike, so I'm really pleased. I've been looking at lots of little components, and the finish, it's a budget bike. Let's be honest, not an expensive bike, but the quality is there. It's a Honda, and it's great. I'll just switch the show you the instruments. Just switch the ignition on a bit. Let's see if we can zoom in on this and see if you can see anything. I think I'm probably going to have a bit of a trouble letting you see here. Don't know whether you can see that, but anyway, clock at the top, gear indicator, large speedo. Across the bottom is the fuel gauge, which is segmented bar, obviously neutral light and warning lights, and then the centre area there is the area that shows the information, which is dictated by this here. So you've got 899 miles, which is my current mileage, so I've been nearly 900. And there's trip meters, and then there's a mile per gallon gauge, and that's interesting because I hope you can see that. Difficult for me to tell whether you can see it or not, but 94.2 is on there at the moment. 94.2, which I think is pretty damn good. And the other thing I want to show you while we've got the ignition on is the lights. As you can see, we have daytime running lights. Let's see if I can get that in there for you. The top two LEDs on the headlight and the two indicators lighters up all the time is daytime running lights, and I think that's pretty effective. I've got to say, I've had nobody put out in front of me yet, so on that scant evidence I would say that's quite a good front light system. So I'll just turn that off. Now the other thing that I really like, a little design feature that I loved, was the instrument console, the way they've housed it in this tubular, let me just get around here, this sort of tube that runs around. Can you see that? A tube that runs around there and houses it. I think that's a really neat option. In fact, I'll just go and get this prop that I bought. This is the back of a instrument console from a Triumph Street Triple that I had some years ago. These actually come off and are replaced when the little front fly screen is fitted. And the point of having this, I just thought that on a lot of modern bikes, that's what you see, isn't it? Something quite ugly. And I think that sort of necessitates the need for a fly screen as much as because often you've got all this ugly instrument binnacle with cables coming out the back. But on this, I think that's a really neat finish. And just wang that over there. It's just landed on the floor. It's an old one, doesn't matter. But yeah, I think that's really neat. And so maybe one of the reasons you'd have a fly screen is perhaps more in question now, because I think that front end looks quite tidy. But that's just a matter of opinion. Coming around to this side, the things I've noticed, there was one glaring thing that probably I bet you can see it now, it's right in the centre of shot, and that's the brake reservoir, and of course the throttle as well. You see that, to operate the throttle, that area there, I think that's begging for probably an alloy cover from the aftermarket guys, which no doubt they'll make one of those at some point. Guys, sorry I use that word, I hate that word. The aftermarket accessory manufacturers will no doubt come up with a little neat alloy cover for that. It's one of the few areas of the bike actually that you can actually imagine where an accessory could be fitted, really. Of course, the other one, as always, is the exhaust, the silencer cam, and that's the original one. The other thing I meant to mention was, of course, that I did say in the last video, I've taken the rear foot pegs off, and the one on this side, as you can see, it's a huge chunk. It actually fits under there, something similar to that. Give you a rough idea. and it does actually add to the general feeling of bulk on this side of the bike. So I've removed it. I don't need it. Let's pop it there. So I think that cleans up the rear end and move away a little bit and just let you see. I think that makes it look a little bit more tidy, in my opinion. Again, it's just aesthetics. Now, the good news is, I was looking on, I think it was eBay. Yes, it was. And there is already an accessory silencer out for this bike. It's and the good news, it's made by Arrow, which is you know, a top brand. They used to be the factory accessories for Triumph, didn't they? The Arrow bikes, I've had them before on Triumphs. It's very small. It's not as big as this, as you could probably imagine. It's round. It's got a if you just Google it, you can see it for yourself. But interestingly, what they've done is they put a small metal shield here instead of this large thing. Put a small one, and then the silencer's there. So that's for protecting the pillion passenger's legs. And then down here, this incidentally is a heat shield. This right down to here is a heat shield, as you can see. And this is a plastic double shield. There's a plastic and then the heat shield with the actual exhaust underneath. And what they've done, Arrow, is they've run a stainless steel heat shield all the way down here as part of the kit. And I've got to say, it looks pretty good. The bad news is I think it's £470, but that's what you sort of expect these days, isn't it, for accessory parts on bikes. So that's the exhaust. I've been right round it now. Just pinpoint a couple of little things. The suspension, when it comes from the factory, is set on number 2 on the rear here. It's on number 2 now. I've actually dropped it down to 1, and I've put it up to 3 just to try things. And after trying both, I think 2 is about right for me. The handling on the bike, actually, I think is really good. Really good. It's quite softly suspended overall, but it soaks up bumps brilliantly, and for the sort of roads that I think this is likely to find itself on, which to me is the way I use it, which is lanes, relatively slow moving roads, 40, 50, 60 miles an hour. It's perfect, especially with the state the roads are in, and the tyres again really suit it. I think generally the Scrambler is very practical with the state the roads are in these days. So there we are. The tyres are Dunlops. They're 150s on the back, and they're called something, I can't remember now. Their name's hidden. Tuamax, is it? I think it is. No, anyway. Brilliant, and almost 1,000 miles, and I've got to say, you know how you can feel the slight squaring off on your tyres. There's 1,000 miles on those, and there is nothing, absolutely nothing. So I think these are going to be quite long lasting. Longer lasting than the ones on my previous bike, which is a Triumph Street Scrambler. And even after 1,000 miles, I've noticed it started to square slightly. So I'm hoping that's going to, the tyres are going to last quite a long time. I've had the first service. It cost me £145. Ridiculous really, isn't it? It's just an oil change, and they put it on the computer. Check there's no faults, you get a clean bill of health. Excuse me, there's lots of flies in the air, and it's just a strange atmosphere at the moment. We just had a thunderstorm. So £145. The tyres I think are going to last forever. The fuel consumption, mid-90s. It's going to be an economical bike to run, isn't it? It's cheap to tax, it's cheap to insure, of course. I was interested, actually. I saw a test. Can't remember, one of the big boys, one of the big magazines, and they said they were testing it, and they said, yeah, it's good fuel consumption. We've averaged over 60 to the gallon. And I thought, how they managed to get the fuel consumption on this down to 60, I have no idea, or maybe I have. Maybe they just thrash everything everywhere. But I don't know. I just don't know. I mean, I'm not pussyfooting around with this anymore, and it's still averaging mid-90s. So it's anybody's guess. But there you go. So there, if there's any more questions, please put them in the comments. I hope this has been a little bit informative for you if you're interested in buying one of these. I'm going to do some on-bike footage soon. The camera's getting sorted out as we speak. I can tell you it is a fantastically fun bike, very agile, really light, and it feels lighter, in my opinion, than the figure suggests. It's 190 kilo, it's supposed to be wet, but it feels seriously 50 kilos lighter than the Street Scrambler I had before. I know Bonneville's are a bit chunky and a bit heavy. It was a heavy bike, but this feels so much lighter, so much more agile. Oh, I've just had a little friend, no, he's gone now, a little wasp land on it. No, it feels extremely agile, extremely light, and to move it around when I'm pushing it around here, it's chalk and cheese compared to the Bonnie, the Street Scrambler. It really is. So I'm very pleased with it. I'm not really missing any lack of performance. I think the main difference, I'm not going any slower than I was before, but it's just that obviously with the smaller engine and the little twin, I'm having to rev it a little bit more than you would do on a large capacity bike. In some ways that's quite fun. I'm not a thrasher of a bike, I don't go crazy fast anyway, but I do like to push on around the lanes and enjoy them. And it's just a little, if I'd have to describe the bike as an animal, it's a little Jack Terrier. Jack Terrier? I don't know what that is. It's a little Jack Russell. It could be a Jack Russell Terrier. Yeah, it's got that little agile, sort of quick responding, screamy little twin in it, and but it also sounds good. And that makes me think I cannot leave you, of course, without letting you hear it. So let me just start it up for you. I completely forgot about that. So we'll just put the key in there. I don't know if you can see. Can't see a thing at the moment. Go around this side. With the Triumph, you had to always put the clutch in. Triumphs are like that. No such thing with this. Just touch the button. This is cold actually. It hasn't been even. This is the first time it's been switched on today. As you can hear, it's not a gigantic throbbing machine, but it's got a lovely little rasp to it, and actually when you're on the bike I find you can hear that all the time. It's quite addictive. A lovely little throbbing, raspy sort of sound. So there we are, that's the little Honda CL500. Thanks so much for watching the video. I hope you've enjoyed it, and lots more to come. So do all those YouTubey things if it so takes you, and I hope to see you again very soon. Thanks a lot. Bye for now.